In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to get your grass growing before anyone else in your neighborhood. It's going to be green and lush and beautiful, and everyone is going to wonder, how on earth did you do that? This is February 4th. This is my lawn. It still has quite a bit of green in it for having gone through winter. We had a really good long cold snap with a lot of snow in the ground, but lately it's been dry and pretty sunny. We've been getting into the low 40s most days, staying in the mid 20s at night, and the lawn has been performing well. Over the next week or so, our temperatures are expected to go up a little bit into the low 50s. And considering the fact that somewhere around the 10th of February is pretty much the same sunlight levels that you get at the end of October around Halloween, there should be ample sunlight in the sky to support green growing grass. We just need to wake it up. From approximately the edge of my jungle gym right there through this section of the lawn to about right here is almost 500 square feet. I want to say it's about 450 square feet. The fence line is not 100% straight, so it's about 450. I'm going to take this section right here and wake it up. I'm going to make this look like it's middle of May at the end of February. Let's take a close look to see what we got. We've got little chunks of sand and dirt, mostly from kids playing in the winter, and worms. We've got chunks of green grass right there. There's another one over here. But then we got little bits of, you see that ring? That might be a little bit of some sort of disease. There's also another one there. Not quite as bad, but for the most part, everything looks pretty good. For this time of year, I can't remember having a lawn looking this good out of the gate. So let's get started. I'm going to start with a light dethatching. I'm going to use my electric dethatcher. I'm going to use my new Sunjo. In years past, I've used my Greenworks. I got nothing wrong with that, but I want to check this one out. I want to try it, and this is a good opportunity to do it. I'm not going to dethatch deep. I'm going to put this on a higher setting because this is basically going to be a raking session, a power raking session. Not only is it going to fluff up the grass, just like traditional raking, but we're also going to get a little bit of that brown debris out of the grass so that the sun can actually get down to the soil and start warming it up a little bit faster. Just a few passes. It doesn't look like I'm picking anything up, but that's because it's all going in the bag. Pretty cool. I'm going to go put this in my new compost bin. Yeah, there we go. Look at that. Well, I guess it's not done yet. Later. All right, I got the whole section done. Look at this. It kind of looks matted here, but then all of a sudden, things look fluffier. And of course, that's because I did a double pass in both directions with the dethatcher. Pulled up a lot of stuff. Don't really see a lot of score lines. You can see them. They are there. But you don't see them heavy, probably because I didn't go deep with the machine. I've only got it set to surface level 0. So if I went subterranean, I'd be down here. If I had taller cut grass, I'd probably be up a little bit higher. Anyway, that's basically step one. I just kind of want to get the surface debris off and score it a little bit, knock down some of the dirt mounds, loosen up the grass, get it upright, and very soon here, I don't know if I've got time today, but very soon here, I'm going to go ahead and start core aerating. All right, about 6 days has passed. I'm a little bit behind schedule compared to where I thought I would be as of, the 10th of February right now. The 10th of February, by the way, is opposite Halloween for the lawn season. In my opinion, it's the same sunlight levels. Most people have good looking lawns on Halloween. I think there is potential to have a good looking lawn at any point past February 10th. It took me 3 days to core aerate this section. Now I only did about 500 square feet, so I did about 2 hours a day, give or take. I took some breaks in there. I had to clear some clogs. I did it manually, so it's always slower manually. I started with my yard butler. I've had this for about 3 years, and oh, that's the wrong yard butler. Anyway, that doesn't matter. That's the spike version. I used the core version, which I've owned for about 3 years or so. And I actually bent one of the tines about halfway through this job. So in 3 years, I finally broke my yard butler core aerator. So I had to go out to Home Depot and pick up a Corona. I left a tag on, but I have used this thoroughly here. Grand total, it took me 3 days, the 8th, 9th, and then today's the 10th to finish that. So that's phase 2. I've core aerated properly. And I got a tiny little section over there in the corner. I'm going to finish here in the next like 20 minutes or so. With all of this stuff core aerated, phase 3, I don't know, we'll call it phase 3, is going to ensue next. I'm going to scrape, I'm going to rake up all of these cores, get them off the lawn because I have short-cut grass. I don't want them on the lawn. If I had tall grass, maybe I'd keep it there. With short grass, I'm going to get it off, and then I'm going to top dress and water deep. That's where I got to bust out the hose, and I'm going to water. That water is going to go into the ground, to the lower areas of the ground where it's still like holding strong into the upper 30-degree soil temperature range. Now water is going to bring it up into the 40s pretty quickly. But I have, look at all those cores in there. I'd have to go back and forth a lot to pick up everything. Despite the fact that that's working, I don't know, I think I'll probably rake. I don't know if I'll really be able to use that lawn sweeper to pick them all up. I guess it'd be all right if I was fine leaving some of them on the ground, but I literally want them all off, so I'm just going to do the traditional rake method. All right, it's the next day, February 11th. It's pretty much done. It's 8 o'clock in the morning, and I'm going to check soil temperatures before we get started. It's actually a little bit of a crispness to the grass this morning. It got to about 31 degrees last night. Just enough for a light frost. All right, I've given that a couple minutes. And it looks like we are at 40 degrees exactly. For first thing in the morning, that's not bad. It's going to continue increasing over the course of the rest of the day as things warm up outside. I'm not going to check it all day long, but it will warm up. But before I do anything today, I'm going to get rid of these cores. I'm going to take them all off the ground. I'm going to collect them and use them probably for my compost, maybe for some low spots on my hill yard. All right, I'm entering into the next phase of this process of waking this lawn up from winter. It actually looks pretty good right now. I didn't film it, but I took the temperature of the soil right now. We're up to 46 and it's middle of the afternoon. So 46-degree soil temperature is plenty warm enough to start warming the grass up. But I'm going to juice it a little bit more. Before I juice it and warm that soil temperature up, I have to top dress it. I cannot ever core aerate a lawn and not top dress. If you ever take the step to core aerate your lawn, please take the intermediary optional step of top dressing. It is such a beneficial thing, and there is no better time ever to top dress your lawn than immediately after core aerating. Now, I've got a bunch of things here. I've got 4 stuff here, but I'm actually going to put 3 of them on the lawn. The reason I'm putting these 3 on the lawn is because when I've got open cores on the lawn, this is the best time to get stuff into those cores. If you put it on top of a lawn that hasn't been core aerated, it doesn't incorporate into the soil very quickly or barely at all. So that's what I'm doing it now. So I'm going to be putting down some Azomite. That's a source of trace minerals. You're going to be getting some micronutrients in there, but mostly we're talking about the trace minerals. So this is a spreadable, it's a granulated trace mineral version. You can get this in micronized. I like to buy the granule stuff because it's easier to spread with a spreader, a traditional lawn spreader. It's not as readily available in this form because it's larger particle sizes, but so long as it gets into the lawn, eventually it will become useful for the lawn and everything living in it. Now I'm also going to be putting down, like I always do, worm castings. Worm castings are just about the best thing that you could possibly put on your lawn in terms of organics, in my opinion. They really do wonders for the lawn in such an enormous amount of different ways that it's hard to quantify how good they are for the lawn. Now I've got worms in my lawn, and of course they're making worm castings all the time, but I'm going to add worm castings right now since I got little tunnels, little tubes going down into the lawn that are going to help. I'm also going to be putting down, now I've done biochar in the past. So back in 2021, I applied 5 different biochars to my lawn at the same exact time so that I could compare which one was best for spreadability. Today I'm going to be putting down BioCharken. So this is an infused biochar. So usually like a straight biochar is just a carbon-based source with little microscopic pores. There's no fertilizer in it, and it has to be charged. So you either charge it yourself, like in your garage or your shed. It's a really messy process, or you put it in the lawn and you wait a couple years for it to charge itself. And that's what I did back in 2021. This product is already charged. So what happens is, for the BioCharken, is they take biochar and they stick it in a chicken coop setting and allow chicken poo to accumulate on it over the course of a year or so. I don't know exactly. I haven't ever watched the process happen. And then after that, all of the biochar has been saturated with the chicken poo, and it's aged. At this point, it composts down, and then they process it into spreadable prills. So this product is meant to be spread on the lawn. So the granules are actually spreadable, which is unlike a lot of biochars, straight biochars that you buy, and then it's already infused. So you don't have to go through the messy process of doing it yourself, nor do you have to wait forever for your lawn to infuse it on its own. So I'm going to be trying it out today. I'm going to see how it spreads and see what I think about it. All three of these products are going to get spread on. I'm going to take a push broom and push it all over the place, see if I can get as much into the holes as possible, and then I'm going to water everything deeply. It's important to water after putting all this stuff down because it's all messy. If you water first and then try to spread it, it's just going to be a messy lawn scenario. What you see behind me is a really shortcut lawn, shorter than I have ever cut my lawn in the past. I've never cut it this short before. I used a push reel mower set to the lowest setting possible. And the reason for that is because I'm going to put this on, I'm going to water the lawn, and then I'm going to cover it all up. It's going to start growing. So I want to start from a lower level, so when it grows a little bit taller, and once I uncover it, then I can start cutting it at the normal height. All right, I've gone and taken a couple of those products away, but before I continue on, I wanted to talk about the biochar just a pinch more. This is the Biochar DG from Anderson's company. This is a product that is also meant to be spread on the ground. So if you watch my other biochar video, which I'm going to link to down in the description below, it's a little bit long, so it's only going to be interesting to a few of you. But if you watch that video, this is the one biochar that is truly meant to be spread on the lawn. Now, it is derived from coconut husk, which isn't my favorite source of biochar. You can see the reasons why in that video. I go into it. 15% of this product is binding agents. So essentially what you're getting with the Biochar DG is coconut husk biochar. 85% of this product is coconut husk biochar, and it's not infused. So the reason that I put the BioCharken down this time, even though it is a smaller percentage of biochar, it is infused, which means that there are nutrients inside the biochar. So once I push it into the cores, the holes, there's going to be a nutrient lock down in the soil profile of my lawn. So all of the root systems are going to be able to latch onto it. The mycorrhizal associations are going to be able to tap into that and bring it up to the plant systems. It's all going to be there. It's never going to leach away. So that's the reason why I really was interested in putting the BioCharken down, and I really like that product. It's spread very easily, by the way. So anyway, there's nothing against the Anderson's Biochar DG product. There's nothing major against it, but it is currently not my favorite product of them all. I have applied it, and I don't want you to think that it's a bad product. It's just not my preferred product in this scenario. With that said, now I'm going to put down worm castings. I put this down a number of times before. I haven't put it down since around April or May of 2021. Now I'm going to put it, I have tried putting it in the spreader and running around. It is very hard to put it in the spreader and run around. This stuff is not meant to be spread through a spreader. So I'm going to go put this in the garage. I'm going to put some gloves on, and I'm just going to be just like a silly maniac, just throwing this stuff all over the ground. There is not really a recommended dose for this. I don't want to mulch my lawn down with worm castings, so I'm just going to put down this bag, which is 10 10 liters. 10 liters over 500 square feet. Is that the appropriate amount? I don't know, but that's what I'm going to do today. All right, now that everything's top dressed, I got to water it in, but I don't really want to turn my irrigation system on in the early mid month of February. So I actually had to pull out a hose and just kind of spray everything down slowly. Got a little bit of water coverage over everything, and then you let it sit for a little bit, and then I basically just took the nozzle off and did a little bit of minor flood irrigation so that I could get a good amount of water deep into the cores, basically to warm up the rest of the root system that's a little bit deeper down in the ground. Naturally, my son watched me playing with water in the yard, and he decided he wanted to help. So I'm going to flood irrigate, and by that, nothing crazy here, just like a minute or two per zone, kind of like a minute or so here, and a minute or so here, a minute or so everywhere. So it ends up being, I don't know, what would that be, about 15 minutes or so over the whole area here. And that's going to get a ton of water deep into the ground. Then I can turn the water off really for the rest of the month, next like few weeks or so. It was like 60 degrees a couple days ago, and now it's snowing. My grass was green, and now it's white. What is this world coming to? I suppose it's still February. Happy Valentine's Day, everyone. Well, we got a little bit of snow yesterday in the evening. It's all mostly burnt off now. It came down pretty good for a while there, but our soil was already warmed up quite a bit over the past couple weeks, plus all my work here in the lawn. This morning, it's still cold outside, but soil temperatures are, what is that, about 40, 41? Just goes to show you, just because the snow lands on the ground, the soil's still not frozen. And later today with these blue skies, it's going to keep warming back up. There'll probably be another 45, 46 degrees at least out here in a handful of hours, at least in the soil. Now with snow burning off and having blue skies scheduled for most of the next week or so, this is the time that I'm purely expecting, like I'm totally expecting the soil temperature to get up into the mid to upper 50s, because I'm going to be covering it up with a little bit of greenhouse plastic. Because it's going to be getting up into the mid to upper 50s, I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of Lurgonite down, because it only works once soil temperatures are 55 and above, once the microbial life is active in the lawn. So basically what I've done is I have brought the soil temperatures up to the point where the microbial life starts becoming active again. So I'm going to put that Lurgonite down to help support the growth that I'm inspiring in this section of my lawn. Once the Lurgonite is down, you have to water it in to kind of really get it into the soil. So again, I'm going to go over it with my hose, with the sprayer, manually, just slowly going over it. And then once I feel that it is actually watered into the soil enough, we're covering it up with the greenhouse plastic. Greenhouse plastic is not something that you typically find at big box stores, certainly not in gigantic rolls. This is stuff that I bought a couple months ago in preparation for this project on Amazon. This is really quality plastic. This is the stuff that you would actually use in a garden or a greenhouse setting. I'll link to it down below in the description. I guarantee you this stuff is way cheaper than you realize. Now it's important to understand here that I'm putting Lurgonite on my lawn late in February, not because I want it to grow now, and not because I think everyone should be doing it. It's because I'm literally warming the soil up to the point where the grass wants to start growing. Everything is green right now, and in the next couple days or so, all of the soil temperatures in this lawn, at least this area of the lawn, are going to be in the mid 50s. Lurgonite is not a synthetic fertilizer. It does require warm soil to work. So I'm going to go ahead and put this down now, and in a couple days, all of my soil is going to be in the mid 50s or higher, and all of the root systems have already woken up from dormancy at this point. The grass is going to want to grow. There's plenty of light in the sky, so it's going to take a couple days for the Lurgonite work itself down into the cores that I put in the lawn, and for the microorganisms who have just barely woken up from winter dormancy to start breaking them down. By the end of February, everything here is going to be extremely green. Right, I've done everything I possibly can to prepare the lawn to warm up for spring at the end of winter. Right now it's still winter. I know it's a sunny, warm day, but there was literally snow on the ground this morning. It's going to be in the 20s every single day for the next 10 days, at least in the middle of the night. But during the day, I've got a sunny stretch in the middle of the day where it's in the 40s. So I'm going to put down, I don't know, is this cheating? I don't know. It's certainly not normal. I'm going to go ahead and put down some greenhouse plastic over the grass. I'm going to tack it down with some landscaping stakes or some garden stakes, and I'm just going to keep it on the lawn for about a week. All of the soil under the grass is going to warm up well into the 50s very quickly, and already the soil is sitting in the mid 40s. Everything's going to start growing very quick. Say hi. Hi. Right, it's been 48 hours since I put the plastic back here over the ground. I thought it would take at least a couple days for it really to make a big difference, and it actually is going a little bit faster than I expected, possibly because our temperatures have been just a couple degrees warmer than expected. We're talking like it's 51 outside. I'm wearing a warm vest but a t-shirt. It's not warm out here, but it's not cold either. I want to show you something. I got the soil temperature in there right now, but right now it's not in the soil. It's sitting on top of the soil. I want you to see how warm things get under the plastic after only 48 hours. First of all, you'll notice that there is lots of condensation on there. This is a warm, moist environment right now. And here is my thermometer in the ground, or in under the plastic, but on top of the ground. Can you see that? 90. It says 90 degrees. So it's moist and very warm under there. It's only been 48 hours. I'm going to take that thermometer and stick it into the ground and take an actual soil temperature and see where we're at there. My guess is it's going to be in the upper 50s. All right, after sinking this thermometer back into the soil itself, after 48 hours, my soil temperature, I'm going to call that 57 degrees. It's probably going to go up another degree or so more before our sun starts setting. What's important to remember here is it is very moist, steamy under there. 90 plus degrees under the plastic. So I'm going to go ahead and keep the plastic on for the rest of the day today. We're going to cool off below freezing, like air temperatures overnight. So the plastic is going to help retain the heat in the ground a little bit longer. And then first thing tomorrow morning, I'm going to take the plastic off and let it air out a little bit now that the soil temperature has come up. This morning, my morning soil temperature was something around 46 degrees. It'll probably be somewhere around 46, 47 degrees tomorrow morning. If the afternoon temperature is in the upper 50s, then we got a pretty good average soil temperature right now. So I'm actually going to do something totally not necessary. I mean, none of what I'm doing is necessary. It's all just for fun, really. Tomorrow, after the grass kind of dries out a little bit and temperatures come up a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and spray it with my new backpack sprayer. I upgraded my sprayer this season from a 2-gallon kind of like hold it and carry it with you to a 3-gallon backpack from Petra Tools. Those guys are knocking it out of the park with all of their ads. I love them. They're hysterical. I really like the concept. Their slogan is built like a rock or something like that. The problem is I was using a Field King over the past couple years, and it just kept breaking on me. The battery stopped working, and then it started leaking. So I needed something new. It's not an endorsement for the Petro Tools thing, but it's what I'm going to be using for the foreseeable future. Hopefully it performs as well as I think it's going to. Anyway, I'm going to apply liquid iron to the lawn. It's going to get a foliar absorbed into the grass systems here. There was a little bit of granular iron that went in with the Lurgonite, but mostly we're going to be seeing the effects of the liquid. And we'll see how long it takes. Usually it only takes a couple days for the liquid iron applications to take effect. It's going to seriously green up, and it's going to look really cool. Here we are the next morning. Let's check the temperature and then take the plastic off. February 18th right now. Plastic's been on for 2.5 days. My starting temperature for the morning is 45. All right, I'm going to move the rest of that plastic off a little bit later. Frosty hands, it's cold. And it's quite heavy, actually. But it's kind of cool looking. Some of the little condensation ice on the plastic, and it's removing it. It just kind of fell off. It just looks pretty cool. The ground itself is chilly, but it's not frosty at all. This sounds a little crazy right now because everything's short and it's barely growing. It's not, I don't even know if it's really grown anything at all, but I'm going to cut it again with my reel mower on the lowest setting possible. Even if I can get the tiniest little bit of clips off of some of the grass, that is a natural biostimulant for more growth. So if I can cut anything at all right now, it's going to help the grass start growing faster. All right, it doesn't look like much, but something is getting cut. All right, now with a nice little trim, I'm going to go ahead and load up the tank sprayer with a very light dose of micronutrients, liquid iron, and a touch of humic acid. Now, I'm not going to go into how to do this. It's literally just fill up a tank sprayer with water and the appropriate amount of the products and spray it on the ground. There are plenty of tutorials on how to do this. If you've never sprayed anything on your lawn, I'll link to something from the description below. The point here, though, is to encourage additional green up with the application of a little bit of micronutrients. We don't need a heavy dose, and a little bit of liquid iron. Right now the grass is woken up and it is green. So a liquid application will be foliar absorbed by the grass plant, and it will end up greening up much deeper, darker, and faster than if we wait for the sunlight to do the whole process all by itself. The humic acid is really just a carbon add to the soil. It helps for the soil fertility, and it also helps with nutrient uptake throughout the growing season. It's always a pretty good idea to add a little bit of it every time you apply something to the lawn. Totally unnecessary, but like I said before, nothing I'm doing in this video is necessary at all. As it turns out, I ended up spraying liquid iron on the lawn the next morning on February 19th. I've given the lawn about 5 hours to absorb a lot of that liquid iron, and now I'm going to go ahead and put the humic acid and the micronutrients into the sprayer and stick it on the lawn. The reason for that is the iron needs to absorb foliar, the grass needs to be dry, the other stuff needs to be watered in. So I'm giving the grass time to absorb a lot of that iron. Now I'm going to put the other stuff on and water it in. A lot of the iron is going to go already in the plant, but the rest of it will go in the soil, and it might get taken up by the root system here eventually. It's just not going to happen quite as fast. After making this application, I decided to put the plastic back on because we were expecting extreme cold overnight temperatures for the next few nights. I am really curious to see what it looks like under that plastic. After I applied my products through the sprayer back on the 18th, it's now been 4 days. So I did that on a Saturday. Today's a Tuesday. We've had a lot of wintry weather ever since. Tonight is supposed to be about 5 to 8 degrees tonight. So I haven't taken that plastic off since because I'm trying to retain as much heat in the soil as possible. But my guess is because of that iron, it's probably pretty green under there. I'm going to leave the plastic on tonight. After it warms up a little bit, let's call it late morning, I'm going to yank the plastic off and see where we stand. Even with this super wintry weather and snow on the ground and overnight temperatures in the teens and single digits, we're still sitting at about 50 degrees right now. And this morning, when it was like 18 degrees outside, the soil temperature was still 46. Pretty chilly this morning. 11. I think it was a little colder an hour ago too. Well guys, now it's the 26th of February. I've been doing this for 22 days, 23, something like that. I did kind of expect the grass to be growing a little bit taller at this point. However, I have cut it once or twice since it started greening up. I did think it would be growing a little bit more, but then again, I also didn't plan on temperatures dropping down into the single digits for like 4 days in a row, but still looks awful good. There is definitely some growth. It's not like a ton, but I am planning on doing a lawn leveling project on this exact spot in the month of March. So I'm going to keep maintaining this grass as low as the reel mower back there will let me. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it right now. If you've got a brown lawn during the normal growing season, it's way easier to green it up, but I guarantee you it is very possible. Cut off all the brown tips, give it plenty of water, give it some fertilizer. Once it starts greening up, so long as temperatures support growth, it will start growing. If you want to deepen that green, throw in a little bit of iron and micronutrients, and you are golden. For those of you watching in early spring, watch my early spring lawn care guide. It's right up here, and I have a full spring lawn care guide linked in the description of this video. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you later here on this channel.